does it? All right. So just so you know, "Oh, come, let us adore him" is not referring to me, even though I might act like it sometimes. So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. For those of you joining us online, welcome. My name is Reverend Dr. Michael McMorrow. I'm the senior minister here at the center, spiritual director to some, and we're delighted to have you joining us today. Our musical inspiration, you've just heard, is the wonderful Teresa James, so let's give her some love.
Thank you.
And if you're joining us online, give her some love on the chat as well. And we're joined by our assistant minister today, the wonderful Nancy Woods. So let's give her some love as well. You ready? All right. All right. Me too. All right, so let's just start by taking a deep conscious breath and releasing and allowing ourselves to center into this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Reverend Nancy lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here in our sanctuary, within our online community, and always within our own hearts. And as Reverend Nancy lights a healing candle, perhaps putting into the light anyone in conflict in any way, Ukraine, Middle East, perhaps within your own heart, remembering Marty and others today, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this
one light, one power, one divine presence, called many names, but it's still one. And in recognition of this oneness that is all-knowing, all-powerful, and really everywhere present, we express our gratitude for this opportunity together in this energy of knowing this truth, of being able to embrace the idea that the divine is coming forth into expression in many ways, uniquely, powerful, loving, harmonious, joyful, and perfect in however it is. Knowing this is knowing that there is a law of the universe that is saying yes to that which is created by each individual expression. So we have created this hour and this time together in the idea that we are a blessing to know each other. We are the love in each other's life. We are the light that says that the divine is perfect for us to experience. All of this and this understanding that this is part of the law, responding to the word that we have placed into it. We say thank you. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Oh, thank you all for being here. Thank everybody for coming. I have a lot of lovely people in my life, huh? So what I wanted to talk about today, Maureen said I have to keep my hands from my mouth when I'm talking so you can hear me. One of the things that occurred to me recently, I had this experience where I felt a little, how do you say? I allowed myself to go into a little guilt and stuff. I heard this guy speaking on these principles in a one-man play last night, and I kind of felt, So I was beginning to correct myself, and then it hit me. No, he said, leave it alone, and I'm going to leave it alone. It's all right, because this path is a human path, and so we step off of it sometime, and so instead of regretting it or knowing it, just recognize that's what I'm doing and get back on. Get back on the awareness and the understanding that the infinite intelligence of the universe is flowing through and as my consciousness, my body, my spirit, my mind, and everything that I am. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I got up and I was doing my little thing because Nikki was supposed to be in here in front of y'all, but she decided to honor her body and decided to listen to it when he tapped it on the shoulder and said, rest. So she's resting. So I got up and I was doing my regular thing in the morning. And one of the things I do is this Science of Mind. It's Ernie Thomas, it's 365. So I kind of read it in the morning to kind of get my mind to go in a straight direction. So this morning when I read this, I said, oh, this is what I'm supposed to share. So I'm going to actually, I usually just speak, but I'm going to actually read this. This is so sweet this morning. It said, our Chinese text tells us that the Tao, which means spirit, produces everything, nourishes everything, and maintains everything. It spreads itself over everything. It flows through everything. And it is in all things. Indeed, being all that it is, there can be nothing outside of it. Our Hindu text tells us that in such degree as we understand God, who is the one penetrator of the universe, perpetrator of the universe, In such degree, we become liberated. In the Hebrew text says, walk before me and be thou perfect. We are to recognize the divine in everything, to speak to the divine in everything, to see it everywhere. Life, lift the stone, and you will find me. Cleave the wood, for there I am. There is a mystical presence that prevails the universe. The fragrance of the rose, the beauty of the developing glycerin in the sun are manifestations of its presence and its activity. And it goes on to say, every philosophical teaching keeps telling us the same thing. I mean, different words, different forms, but the divine perfection is here. And how we are living it and how we are experiencing it is what this whole process is about. And it's no use getting hung up on what may have happened yesterday. What are we doing with it today? And that was just so, I said, yeah, forget about yesterday. How can I be harmonious today? How can I be loving today? How can I be joyful today? How can I see the divine in everybody that's in my experience today? And thank you for allowing me to share that.
Squandered love 1,000 ways, taken anger everywhere I go, been quick to hurt but healed so slow. But for every time I lent a hand, the angels played some Dixieland. Every kiss, another hurt dropped off the list. Sometimes it was harder and it took me longer. Times I was weak, but I always got stronger. 'Cause sure as fire someday, the good catches up. Yeah, if I give it time, the good catches up. You don't need a PhD to understand these things you see. And all the love that was never found, you know it's still around. Ah, yeah, it's still around. Sometimes it's harder and it might take longer. Sometimes we're weak, but we'll only get stronger. 'Cause sure as fire someday, the good catches up. Oh, and if I
love your music.
Thank you.
The good catches up. And that's the wonder of knowing this, that the divine is everywhere. Yeah, beauty of it. It's really a great thing to know. So, announcements, okay. Oh, announcements. Oh, you got a whole page here. So, if you're looking for a tune-up, in other words, if you want somebody to help you step into your greatness that you're already stepping into, there's a 2-minute tune-up that any practitioner would give you. This morning, if you make a request of it, and the practitioners raise their hand that's willing to take for people to step into it. And interns, raise your hand. Okay. And so, and you can also find practitioner online. So if you're looking for it, reach for it. The brunch after service today is our way of just kind of saying thank you, and let's celebrate being in the holidays and the wonder of living in them. So join us as we just spend some time together, being a community of love. And we do it over food. It's kind of nice. That's our way of doing it. So we invite everybody to join us. And it's way more food than it is people. So join us. Join us as we do that today. Also, I wanted to invite you, Reverend Nicole has a class on Wednesday morning, and it's a drop-in class, and it's the Sangha class. And so it's $25 for the day, and she has a movie that they are going to discuss this coming week. So if you're going to join them, you can contact her to find out what that movie is, because I don't know what the movie is. And there's Carolyn. It's Saturday at 10:30. That was yesterday. Okay, so we stopped that. Next Wednesday night, Brian Lockman is doing chakra, love, and kindness meditation. His energy is just beautiful to experience. So join us on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock for that. And the big thing for us in December is always the Spiral of Lights. That is always a wonderful event. Come out and join us as we walk into the idea of the love of the universe that we are seeking to experience, because each one of us has an idea of how that is individually. So this is what we do in the Spiral of Light. It is a beautiful experience, so join us. That is December the 20th. And come, it starts at 6:30, not 7, right? Oh, so come at 6:30, please. Because at 7 o'clock we begin. Okay, and that's all the announcements. And we would ask you to stand and say the Declaration of Principles with us. We believe in one universal spirit manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal too and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates from the law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life, immortality of the individual soul, forever expanding. We believe in eternal goodness, eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
All right, you guys join me. I am all belief. I
So, lovely to have you all with us today. Welcome. If you feed them, they will come. Or perhaps you're answering the call. So I understand there was a phone list. Got to talk to a couple people myself this week. That was nice. So I wanted to start us out. First of all, for those who come to the 9 o'clock service, typically on Christmas Eve, there will be no 9 a.m. service. We're just going to do the 10:30. So it's the one time of the year where we can all be together. And although it seems like if we have food after the service, maybe we're all here together anyway. But, so there is no 9 a.m. service. So if you have friends who typically attend that service, just remind them. We'll be like flooding the airways with that one. And it is, of course, Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to those of you who honor that holiday. And I wanted to start out today we're speaking to this idea of wholeness, of recognizing wholeness, of seeing the good in all, in spite of outward appearances. And so I wanted to start out with this quote by Eric Butterworth, a Unity minister back in New York, back in the day, when he reminds us that you and I are a perfect idea in the infinite mind. We are whole now. This wholeness is the only way the universe knows us. You are a perfect idea in the infinite mind of the Most High. You are whole now. That this wholeness is the only way the Spirit knows you. And so our task today then is to remember this truth about ourselves and even more importantly about others. Apparently, and especially the ones that maybe you don't care for so much. That's where the work is. So, the one thing we're in this season, of course, we honor the teacher Jesus with Christmas and all that. And he was always about doing the harder stuff, like praying for enemies and stuff like that. Yeah. So, and this month of December is always a time that is rich in all kinds of spiritual stories and imagery. Of course, it is the Hanukkah season, and this Thursday was the first night in Hanukkah this year, the story of the miracle lamp, where the lamp that stayed lit for days past its supply of oil. But perhaps more importantly, Hanukkah is a Jewish festival commemorating the recovery of Jerusalem and subsequent rededication of the Second Temple at the beginning of the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire in the 2nd century BCE. So there's a long history for this people in this region. On Friday, in the Buddhist tradition, we had the Bodhi Day, which commemorates the enlightenment of Siddhartha Gautama. And the second Sunday of Advent in the Christian calendar is celebrated today by lighting a purple calendar, sometimes called the Bethlehem calendar. I didn't know this. And it's lit on the second Sunday to represent the hope of Christ coming to the world. And then often, not this year, but often, Diwali in the Hindu tradition is often makes it into December. This year it was in November, symbolizing the spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. Knowledge over ignorance. Now, I wanted to mention Diwali here because I think it also parallels nicely to really all faith traditions. For one might well say that at least scripturally, if not in practice, that they all teach victory over darkness, good over evil, knowledge over ignorance. We just kind of argue over the details maybe not argue, let's just say, present their own case for their unique path. And of course, it is also the time of Santa, and this photograph I wanted to share with you, my cousin posted this from a shop in London, so we're now going international. And plus they're cute, and they're Nordic. They're getting ready to head up to Mammoth, the skiing Santas. So, now in this this idea of seeking wholeness, this idea that we're having honoring victory of light over darkness, of good over evil, of ignorance, of knowledge over ignorance, that in a world where we are immersed in physical experience that has duality folded and sewn into it, really, we speak, even think of not oneness, but rather in two-ness. For many, oneness, I think, seems counterintuitive and really calls for people to contemplate aspects of living that lead us, maybe even pull us deeper, and that this call is not this call for us to not be content to just scratch the surface, but rather to grab a metaphysical shovel and dig deeper, as deep as we dare go, in order that we might see the wholeness of life. Now, in order to see the wholeness of life, we need to first, because of this immersement in this seeming field of duality, that we have to work a bit. We need to develop practices that allow us to see life as a whole expression rather than segmented aspects of our own finiteness, right? Of our own individual lives. Even, we might say, our own egoic pursuits within this thing called life. And in order to see that wholeness, we need to first think and feel and learn to see the world this way. You know, Michael Beckwith describes it as seeing with the gift of insight rather than eyesight. So from this perspective, then, we cannot help but think about the nature of thought itself and the impact it has on our experience. And in the human experience, let's face it, we're always planning and scheming, concocting, posturing, agendicizing, making our to-do lists, driven by fears and desires, many in unconscious ways. And so here, one more time, here's this duality thing raising its head again, right? Even in the way of conscious and unconscious thought. And yet, that's going on in one brain, in one field. Now, in our contemplation of, how God, as we understand it, fits into this mix, we may be inclined to think in ways of life having a divine plan to it. Now, this may be a bummer for some, but this is actually inconsistent with the idea of free will, because it's a much more determinist view of life, which in my view stymies rather than encourages evolution and expansiveness, which are both elements of creativity and both aspects of anyone who creates, including the one who creates all, the Creator. So we have this experience of a dualistic life, which really is underscored I forgot to make this point with the Santa Clauses, but you know, he knows when you were sleeping, he knows when you were awake, he knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. There's a list, right? And it's all encompassing, and so many of us even see our relationship with the divine in this way. So we better be good for goodness sake, which actually is not a bad code to live by. But so how to see the wholeness in that? Well, there's a couple of ways of tweaking this just a little bit. But if nothing else, in this human experience, can we at least agree around this idea of divine purpose or divine plan? Can we at least agree that life moves from seeming disorder to disorder, only to be rendered into something else again, right? That this is our experience of life, but which doesn't sound much like a plan to me, divine or otherwise. So what about that? In this idea that there's this divine plan, right? So then the most logical aspect of that argument then is, well, why is there so much pain and discord? You know, what about Ukraine, right? What about the young person, in the hospital, struggling to recover from a brain injury? What about, right? Fill in the blank, right? Now, of course, another aspect of life is that there's also someone who walked away from the needle yesterday. Someone who started their day today and didn't pick up a drink. Someone who got up and instead of getting into an argument with a loved one, chose to say something kind instead. Maybe even completely out of character for them. So it's all happening. And if as people of faith, we are to understand that the Spirit is expressing through this manifest life, then we also need to accept that all of this is happening in some crazy cosmic way that we just do not have the bandwidth to understand. Now, Jesus clearly knew this, right? Because if you really get to the brass tacks about this one, right? So judge not, lest ye be judged, right? Tend to the log in thine own eye, rather than the mote or the dust particle in the other. In other words, keep your own side of the street clean. So how to make sense of all this? I think the way out of this mental riddle is to think not in divine plans or purpose, but rather in divine patterns. And in fact, this is something that Ernest Holmes would speak to. So not a divine need or desire as we understand it in the human realm, but rather an impulsive part of the nature that is the creator and must create, or it wouldn't be a creator. And this hints to an aspect of the divine that is more process rather than spontaneous creation, even though this too is an aspect of the creator. And it is the creative process of the divine, of which our own human experience is a reflection of. In the finite. So the Spirit is, this whole unfolding is taking place on a cosmic order, if you will. And at the same time, we have our own concerns within our finite life of security, of family, of a level of prosperity that has some security and maybe even a little luxury in it, right? But also has a sense of generosity to it, not simply in coin. Coin is really the easiest thing to give if you think about it. If you've got the money, it's easy to give money, right? It's harder to give time. It's harder to give love when your heart is hard, or you've been traumatized by deep stuff. Some that was not part of your plan. So in this thing called life, there are aspects of it with this idea of wholeness, right? Some folks are subjected to some pretty gnarly stuff. That there are systemic issues in this human condition that we are, in our own lives, are subjected to, or we can at least witness or others are subjected to. This is what we call the human race consciousness. This is the part of this human experience that we co-create together in our belief. So the great promise of this season in all of these religions where we're bringing light, particularly in the northern hemisphere, we're bringing light to the darkness, is the promise that we can, in fact, create goodwill toward all men and women. How? By changing our mind. Right? As Paul would say, be ye renewed by the renewing of your mind. I just mangled that quote, but you get it. Be ye transformed by the renewing of our mind. In ways of what? To be more loving, to be more open-hearted, right? To find ways to tell the ego, to tell the intellect, okay, I get it. Now shut up and open our hearts, right? To set the armor down, to open our hearts, to allow ourselves to be seen, to be vulnerable, to be compassionate, to practice loving kindness with others as ourself. So this creative process of the divine, there's a reflection of this within our own experience, right? This, so if you, I love the idea of, say, music or painting, starting a business, falling in love. It all starts with an idea, right? And a receptivity. And then the universe does rush in, right? In the openness, the universe rushes in with inspiration, which is really just another avenue of creativity for it to express itself in this world of effect. So the truth is, regardless of how much credit we want to take for things in our life, it really is a co-creative experience with the Most High in ways that we are conscious of, but in many more ways in which we are unconscious of. Because we can generate good in our life unconsciously too. Right? It's not all the blank storm. Right? That there's plenty of room when we allow the Spirit the space. There's plenty of room for its demonstration. But we have to make it welcome. Which means we have to set aside a lot of petty pucky. Caught myself. So we're having this experience of life, which is a juicy interplay of conscious and unconscious demonstration of that creative unity that points to an implicit, though sometimes camouflaged, definition of the divine itself, where the universe is a sphere whose center is nowhere, is everywhere, and whose circumference is nowhere. Now, if this is true, then the divine is present in everything. Inert or alive, all is one unified whole. And this notion can really drive theologians to the edge, beyond limits of traditional spiritual thought. But I love this quote because I think it's perhaps in this realization of this vein of thinking that inspired Julian of Norwich to write that heaven and earth and all creation are great, generous, beautiful, and good. That God's goodness fills all his creatures and endlessly overflows in them. Now, Julian, of course, is a woman, Julian of Norwich. And you know, to see this beauty in the midst of the Black Death, we think we have problems. The Black Plague, that was a problem. We thought COVID was devastating. Black Death is devastating. And yet here's someone who could see the beauty even in that. In his own musings of the nature of reality, Holmes, in talking about Meister Eckhart, who said, God never begot one son, but the eternal is forever begetting the only begotten. Holmes writes that it is the nature of reality to forever pass from being into what theologians call becoming. Right? So in this way, then, we are not spiritual beings having this human experience as much as we are spiritual becomingers having this spiritual experience, because we are always in the process of becoming, as is the Spirit, which is pretty clever of the divine to create. So if you imagine being an immortal, sentient consciousness, to be immortal, to know everything, that could get pretty boring after even just a week. I mean, imagine you could have all the power to have everything you want. How long do you think you would last before you were bored? Right? And so yet, what does the Spirit do? It creates all of these avenues for creative expression, bound only by the law of its own being, so that it can have an experience of itself by means of its creation. This is the original blessing, rather than the original sin. For as Holmes says, man needs to be left alone to come to himself, which means what? To understand that I and the Father are one, right? But then we have to act like it. We have to think like it, right? We have to love more, most importantly, we have to love like it. Reverend Scott Aubrey writes, here's another way to see this thing. I think I got my deck lined up right here. So it's only natural to think of the concerns of our own life as this one point of interest. Oh, yeah, that's me as an archangel. So I wanted to point out, because they're getting ready to remodel this place. It's at Yarmouth and Chatsworth down the street. So take a friend and go take each other's picture, and you can have angel wings. I mean, why wouldn't you at this time of year? Yeah, although that kind of looks like angel earrings, but all right. So to make this point, so we this is the idea of pointillism in art, right, where you make paintings out of little points, our own little finite concerns of the world. You know, how could How could God let all of this happen? Well, I don't have the answer to that, and frankly, I don't think anyone else does either, right? I do not know why human beings continue to be so hateful, greedy, distrustful. I don't know why. But they can be. But I also have witnessed human beings being incredibly loving, forgiving, open-hearted, generous, creative, and do some pretty magnificent things. I mean, this Webb telescope, for instance, that's a pretty amazing feat for a bunch of squabbling, egocentric crybabies to be able to set enough stuff aside to be able to do that. But what's required, of course, is some perspective. So just as in a pointillism painting where everything is done as a little point, we have to get some perspective to step back to see the beauty and the majesty and the creativity in all of it. If we could see the world in the cosmic way in which the divine operates, but that's not the way it works. So the bottom line is this: if we wish to see life as wholeness, we must train ourselves to see that wholeness. I suspect that there is this race consciousness of isolationism still going on. I think we're still kind of emerging out of our fears around, maybe we're all experiencing a little PTSD around this COVID business, or at least being home. And let's face it, it's easier to be cynical, particularly around this time of year when we kind of feel like that magic, it was easy to do when our kids were small and we created this whole magic within our homes to sustain that. But the truth is that we have to step away from the cynicism of been there, done that, and instead create magic within our own lives, which is really just about opening up to the magic which is already available to us. Right? It's easier to be cynical, to be guarded, to stay at home. If nothing else, maybe go to the mall and watch the kids in the playground play around. Or maybe if you've got small kids, to get a babysitter so you can have 5 minutes to remember, we all know what that's like. It's the wonderful thing about life. Perhaps the easiest path is to simply practice gratitude. That if we want to be a light unto the world, let's just simply be a light of gratitude. Come on. Let's say yes to life. Say yes to holiday invitations that might keep you out past your bedtime. Oh, wow. Release the cynicism of the season and say yes to love, to companionship. You are a perfect idea in the mind of God. You are whole now. This wholeness is the only way the universe knows you. You could say it another way. You are a perfect idea in the mind, in the heart of cosmic love. You are whole now. This wholeness is the only way the heart of the Most High knows you. So today, as we go about our business, cultivating things to be grateful for, to me, one of the things, it's such a simple thing to be grateful to go to the tap and drink a glass of water and not have to even give it a second thought. And yet, 1,000 miles south of here, that's not true. Think about that gratitude, cultivate gratitude. And then for those of you who are facing any challenges, something that you would pray about. So in your prayer for yourself, pray for others who may be facing a similar challenge. So as we go through the rest of this day, knowing that for those of us sticking around for the meal later, that we are together just blessing that food in deep gratitude, knowing that it nourishes our bodies in all the ways that is needed, and it is eliminated from any areas where it's not welcome, that we feel that sense of community and connection with each other. For those of us joining online, knowing that the heart of this community here in the sanctuary is joining with you now, that we know that all of it is sustained by an infinite power and presence that is both impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all of life, and in, through, as our life. And so we allow ourselves to be shifted and lifted by the love and light of the season, and we share it gladly with others. Take that into your day today. Practice it. Take it into your work week. See what's different, and then let's check in next week.
You're under heaven's eyes, down under paradise. Sometimes it seems like we're so small. Here on the shores that reach into infinity, how could we matter much at all? And would it be enough if each of us could give our love like sand on a mountain, rain on a fountain, shade on a shadow, a breeze in this tornado? Just do what you can, clap with one hand, and shine all your light in the sun. We live to learn to love. Oh, mercy from above, amazing grace like rain comes falling down. We sing our hearts to you, our song of gratitude, the voice of every soul, how sweet the sound. We can only
Teresa James, everyone. Thank you, Teresa. Give her some love in the chat. And is Chloe in the back there? Yeah, there you are. As Chloe brings up our offering basket. If you've come prepared with a physical offering today, just make your way as you can. And nice headdress there. Christmas tree antenna. All right. Ready?
Not ready to sing with me here. Spirit gives through me. Spirit receives through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through us. Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Oh, Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So going within for just a moment longer as we recognize that these gifts, this basket represents both the generous heart of the individual, the receptive heart of this spiritual community. The generous heart of that person who knows and knows that they know that God is our source, our substance, our supply. The receptive heart of this spiritual community as we accept these gifts with deep appreciation and love by whatever avenue, through online giving, through mail, through your gifts here this morning, that all of it is received as we know together that these gifts go forth to heal, to prosper, to bless not only this spiritual community, but anyone connected to it in any way. And from this place of gratitude that we extend a blessing upon our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people that support them, that we know in some crazy cosmic way that the infinite mind of the Most High, the creative impulse of life itself, is expressing itself in, through, and as this manifest universe. And to the extent that we know this to be so, in the way that we know it to be so, we see its demonstration in ways great and small. This lifts our hearts. We feel a sense of grace and power that both pull us and push us into ways of spiritual living that raise not only our own life, but the lives of those around us as well. And that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is, amen. So please, let's thank Teresa James one more time. Do we see you again before the holidays?
I'll be here next Sunday.
Next Sunday, okay. There's some swapping going around here, so okay, so we get to have you next week.
I'm excited.
All right, so give her some more love in the chat, if you will. Give her some more love in the room. And, of course, let's give some love to our own wonderful Assistant Minister, Reverend Nancy Woods. Yeah, you can clap for yourself. All right. It smells good. I've been hungry for 20 minutes. How about you? All right. So pray us out, Rev.
It's truly with the consciousness of gratitude I say thank you. Thank you for the understanding and awareness that we have gained here today. as we expand our understanding of our own greatness and how we can perceive that greatness in all the things around us. And as we step forward into this experience of living this truth, it is with the awareness that we are the love, the peace, the joy, and the harmony that we are seeking to experience. And also, thank you for the opportunity to share this, they say, break bread together as we celebrate just knowing each other in every way. So with love and appreciation, we join together in knowing this, as we say, and so it is.
All right, you guys, if you'd like to stand and join in a circle and join me singing this. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be.